The 1920s in America were a time of unprecedented prosperity, a decade of jazz, flappers, and seemingly endless economic growth. It was called the Roaring Twenties, and it felt like the party would never end. But in the autumn of 1929, the music stopped. The great stock market crash of 1929 would not only bring the Roaring Twenties to a screeching halt, but it would also trigger the most devastating economic crisis in modern history, the Great Depression. Throughout the 1920s, the American economy was a powerhouse. Industrial production soared, driven by technological innovations in sectors like automotive and aviation. For the first time, millions of Americans could afford to buy cars, radios, and other modern conveniences. This new consumer culture was built on a foundation of credit and a soaring stock market that seemed to only go up. Everyone, from Wall Street bankers to ordinary factory workers, was caught up in the speculative frenzy, believing that stocks were a one-way ticket to riches. A key driver of this speculative bubble was a practice called buying on margin. This allowed investors to buy stocks with borrowed money, using the stocks themselves as collateral. As you can see in this diagram, an investor could put down as little as 10% of the stock's price, borrowing the other 90%. This amplified their potential gains if the stock went up, but it also exposed them to catastrophic losses if the price fell. It was a high-stakes gamble that left the entire market incredibly vulnerable. The first crack in the facade appeared on Thursday, October 24th, 1929, the day that would become known as Black Thursday. The market opened with a wave of selling as nervous investors started to cash out. The ticker tape fell hopelessly behind, creating an information vacuum that only fueled the growing panic. Outside the New York Stock Exchange, a crowd of thousands gathered, their faces etched with anxiety, as the dream of easy money began to evaporate before their very eyes. In a dramatic attempt to restore order, a consortium of powerful Wall Street bankers, led by Richard Whitney, the acting head of the stock exchange, stepped in. They conspicuously bought large blocks of blue-chip stocks to demonstrate their confidence in the market. For a moment, it seemed to work. The market rallied, and the panic subsided. But it was a temporary reprieve. The underlying confidence of the American public had been shattered. The fragile calm was shattered the following week. On Black Monday, October 28th, the selling resumed with a vengeance. As margin calls went out, investors who had borrowed money were forced to sell their shares at any price to cover their loans. The Dow Jones Industrial Average plummeted by nearly 13%, the largest one-day percentage drop in its history at the time. The floor of the stock exchange was a scene of chaos and despair. The worst was yet to come. The next day, Black Tuesday, October 29th, the market completely collapsed. A record 16 million shares were traded as the panic reached its peak. The ticker tape machines couldn't keep up, printing hours late. Fortunes built over a decade were wiped out in a matter of hours. The Roaring Twenties were officially over, drowned in a sea of red ink. The crash was not just about numbers on a ticker tape. It had a devastating human cost. Millions of ordinary Americans who had entrusted their life savings to the stock market were left with nothing. The financial ruin was swift and brutal. People lost their homes, their jobs, and their hope for the future. The shockwaves of the crash spread throughout the entire economy. With investment capital gone and consumer confidence shattered, banks began to fail in droves. Businesses, starved of capital and customers, were forced to shut their doors. Unemployment skyrocketed, and the nation spiraled into the Great Depression, a decade of hardship that would reshape American society and government. The Great Crash of 1929 serves as a powerful and enduring reminder of the inherent fragility of financial systems. It's a story of ambition, greed, and ultimately, a lesson in economic reality that continues to resonate in the financial world today, reminding us that no boom lasts forever.